pretty much just a for fun tournament. So all the runners in it know that's the case. And it looks like we're going to be starting here in just a minute.
And just a big 20 on Link's house, so not much there. Most of the guys are going to be heading up towards Escape. And just the baby shield in the Sanctuary.
Yeah, interestingly enough, on the left side we have Sanctuary strats, on the right side we have Uncle strats. Which is better? We don't know. But we do find just a baby shield, as you said. Time to see what the Uncle has for us today, and it is the mirror, actually.
Very nice pickup.
Yeah, it's especially nice for when these runners decide to go into the actual castle, because you don't have to actually death warp if you want to grab the sewers chest. We also find the shovel in the other chest inside of the secret passage, so we'll probably be seeing what that digs up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Chexhuman is actually in that spot right now, but he did not get his shovel quite yet. Over to Aghanim's ledge, and it is... I did not catch what that was. That's a bottle.
I doubt we'll be seeing that unless it's like the first bottle and Sick Kid has something for us.
Chexhuman checking out the race game. And Zaen is heading towards Aghanim Ledge as well.
Yep, we get our first map here in the woods, the map of Eastern Palace. So whenever we get a map check, we'll be seeing whether it's a pendant or a crystal.
And just 5 arrows on the race game, so nothing there. The well, however, having a big key to Desert Palace.
Yeah, if we get a book, that could be a pretty big hint. Alright, so everybody's pretty much converging on Kakariko Village as we speak. There's quite a few chests in Kakariko Village, and it's pretty rare to get out of there without finding at least one major item.
Zaen grabbing his big key as well, so he'll be making that drop down into Kakariko as well. We have our first check on Blind Set by Invictus over on the left-hand side.
Yep, Chexhuman is about to farm some bombs here in the bomb hut. Could have boomerang here in Blind's basement.
And that's our huge Swamp Palace small key.
Yeah, that's possibly the most important small key in the game, typically speaking, because it unlocks the entire dungeon past the first chest.
Yeah, I'd say that alone makes Kakariko Town worth it.
Yeah, it's very rare you see a runner skip out on Kakariko, though. We'll be seeing what's inside the well here in short order as well. But Invictus actually ran out of bombs, so it's up to Zaen and Shadyforce to tell us what's inside the well. Do get nothing but a bomb upgrade here in the Cuckoo house. Or Cuckoo, or however you pronounce it.
Invictus restacking on his bombs in the little hut down there. Able to finish off the rest of Kakariko now.
Yeah. Hasn't had a lot of rupees here in the seed so far.
Well, I was surprised that no one went with the early Houlihan route, and I believe that was Silver's.
Yep, we found Silver's here in Kakariko Well, already making the trip worth it.
Still need that bow to use those, but that's going to make fights like Fitchers a lot easier.
And we also get the mushroom and the flute. The flute in Kakariko is always a really nice pickup, especially if you actually remember to activate it. Which is something I typically have a hard time doing. But the flute now gives us access to the mountain, and with 2 more lift upgrades, we'll have access to the Misery Mire area. And with a mirror in hand, we could even check Checkerboard Cave.
Early check of Hera as well.
That is true. We do have the boomerang, which actually might come in handy in hitting the switches. It's entirely possible to get forced to go to Tower of Hera with nothing but bombs to hit the switches, so this might actually be a nice place to have that boomerang.
Yeah, the boomerang's an item that a lot of people usually just scoff at. Sometimes it's actually very helpful, especially when you go down to the prison escape and all you have is bombs. So you can kind of use that boomerang to bomb your way and keep those guards stunned.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like we've seen pretty much the extent of what Kakariko has to offer. So, yeah.
Some nice items, though. We have the Silvers and the Flute at the very least, and that Swamp Palace key, so pretty decent Kakariko today.
All right. So we're pretty much just waiting now for our runners to start treading new ground. Everybody's just retracing each other's footsteps. I expect we'll be seeing at least one of our runners heading to the Hyrule or the Hyrule South Shore, the Lake Hylia area, because that's a bunch of chests available to us. Without any weapon other than the bombs, it's kind of difficult to do something like the mini Moldorm Cave, but I think at 2 and 1, all of these runners are able to do that.
Yeah, you can always use bomb strats, so just toss bombs at them. It's a little bit on the slower side, especially if they run away from it, as Moldorms like to do.
Yeah, many a runner has been trolled by the mini Moldorms in that cave. Potentially even more so trolled by those mini Moldorms than by Moldorm himself.
Yeah, looks like our dig game was the blue mail, so that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, Zaen is opting to turn in the mushroom. Now, something interesting about the mushroom that was found in recent months is a glitch called fake powder. And that allows you to check the magic bat location without actually having the magic powder. And something I've seen some runners do lately is like save and quit and then fly or use the warp to get to the witch's hut. Check what the witch has for you from the mushroom, and if the witch doesn't give you anything useful, just do a hard reset, because that saves you the mushroom. So if you find the Canis Mario at some point, you can actually do the fake powder.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That way you don't have to wait to get your powder, because it could be a long time before you find it.
Get a soggy map here at the dam. The map of Misery Mire. And status point again. It's also a nice safety. If you don't have the powder, you can fake powder any fairy or bunny bean. So I believe this is our first foray into Mini Moldorm Cave. We'll be seeing what 5 items we're getting today.
Very nice bomb timing. Very well done by Zaen there.
Yeah, that was a... Zaen did very well, and the Mini Moldorms are also very nice. We also get our first sword here in the Mini Moldorm Cave, along with some rupees, some rupees, some rupees, and a rupee.
So really just a stabby device.
Yeah. Also a slashy device.
And a spin device.
The fighter sword is also useful to get into certain places that have vines or curtains to cut, like, say, the room before Aghanim, or actually the room into... Yeah, sorry, the room before Aghanim has a curtain, and there's also vines in Skull Woods that lead to Mothula.
And we will need 2 swords eventually to kill Ganon, so getting the first one out of the way 10 minutes in is definitely a nice thing.
Mm-hmm. And another thing the fighter sword is necessary for is to use medallions. So if we want to, say, enter Misery Mire or Turtle Rock anytime soon, that could come in handy. Additionally, Bombos might be our only entrance into Ice Palace.
I didn't catch what was in Ice Cave.
I didn't see it either. We'll get there soon enough.
Invictus and Chex will probably head over there anyway, because that is the kind of time that you want to do that while you're right here.
Yeah, especially when you have the flute. I mean, actually, if you have the flute, it's easy to get back. So I could see a runner maybe skip out on it and hope that they would get the boots before they ever have to come back here. But
Slim Kirby saying Quake was an ice cave, so could be necessary.
Good day.
Speaking of Slim Kirby, let's give some quick shout-outs to Slim Kirby and X-Shock for the great job tracking behind the scenes, as well as our restream today, Who42 Baker. So special thanks to them for the behind-the-scenes work, because we couldn't do this without them.
Yeah, and Zaen finds another weapon in the hammer in Hyrule Castle, leading to Zelda's cell.
Hammer's really nice to find. It has that wonky hitbox, but it does do 10% sword damage.
Yep, and it's also required to, knock down the pegs on the overworld and in certain dungeons. Invictus, on the other hand, has a different idea and is going to be checking probably what's inside Sahasrara's hut here next to Eastern Palace. And if I'm a betting man, I'm probably thinking he's going into Eastern Palace.
Yeah, I don't think Dark Rooms are going to stop anyone from going to Eastern for sure.
I think Keysanity, more than most modes, is a mode where you don't want to leave the early game locations hanging. And we also find out through Sahasrara that our green pendant for the day is in Ice Palace.
We got a small key to desert. We got flippers. Alright, so we have pretty much a desert set. We have the big key and the small key now. Might need boots.
Yeah.
And Invictus is heading over to Eastern now.
Yep. So one thing about the boots in this version, compared to other versions, is due to the way Keysanity works and the fact that keys can be literally anywhere. Like, we already have everything we need to get through Desert Palace, at least through the main area. We don't have a fire source yet to actually get to the boss, and we don't have the book or mitts to actually get inside the dungeon proper. But if we get either of those things, we could actually go into Desert Palace and see all the items it has, except for what's on the torch. So we have two runners in Eastern Palace now, Shady Force and Invictus. We'll be seeing what secrets it holds. And Zaen, with the Master Sword in the front side of Escape, is going directly to the mountain, probably going to be heading to Hera.
Yeah, I believe Zaen found that in the Dark Escape room.
Yeah, that's another place, like we were saying, that where the mirror comes in handy. He didn't have to do a death warp to get there.
That's a spot that a lot of people forget about or put off until way later in the seed. So to get that early Master Sword could be good for him.
Zaen getting trolled here by the Dead Rocks, trying to
Those
bring
things
the
are
old
the
man.
worst.
Yeah, trying to bring the old man back to his house. Old man instead gives him a tiny quiver upgrade.
Yeah, those things stop in the worst spots possible.
Yeah, if you're lucky, sometimes you can hit them multiple times before they freeze and get a little bit more distance. So you don't stop them in the middle of a path.
I think if you hit him with the hook shot, I think that sends him a little bit on a way too.
Mm-hmm. Or sword beams.
You ever use the hook shot on those worms in the desert?
I haven't, actually.
You gotta try that someday. It's hilarious. And we had a small key on the Spectacle Rock drop down. I didn't catch which one it was, though. Oh, it's a small key to Tower of Hera.
Yep.
It looks like Shady Force is gonna go check a early Agena check.
I like this play. Like I was saying, you don't really want to ever leave places like this lingering for too long in Keysanity. Because not only do you have to follow the items you get, but you also have to follow the keys you get, and you know, having certain items really only tells you part of the story. So if there were, say, a small or big key in here, it might give you a bit more direction. So Zaen, unfortunately, not finding much inside of the Tower of Hera, and as well as Chexhuman. So they're both, with hammer in hand, going to be able to check out what's in East Death Mountain. And there is a veritable smorgasbord of chests available over here. Especially if we were to get lift upgrades to get into the Dark World.
It looked like that was the can of Brian on Zora's Ledge, so Invictus is gonna walk around and pick that up.
Definitely not a bad idea.
Yeah, that gives you
I
a little
could...
bit of invincibility, and it lets you get a Spike Cave as well. And there's our other invincibility on the cape by Zaen, so that gets us in the Bumper Cave.
Mm-hmm. If these runners were swordless, the blue cane would be especially useful in fighting off blind, but as they have a sword, blind should be pretty easy if we ever have to get there. So we're getting our first peek into Paradox Cave, which has a whopping 7 chests.
And Sick Kid just having our allowance today, so we stole Sick Kid's money.
He thinks he's helping, but I mean, he really isn't.
Or Rory is just being a bully and just stealing his allowance.
It's possible. I like to, you know, I like to think that he's just giving it to us of his own volition.
Alright, so we got 5 big chests here in Paradox Cave. Let's see what we got. We got bombs. We got bombs. Money.
Money. Compass. And the single arrow.
I think that was quite possibly the worst Paradox Cave I've ever seen.
I think it was the best because we got the single arrow, and we can't really beat the game without it. I mean, we can, but who would want to? So our runners got baited a bit with that East Death Mountain play. I'm sure they'll be back later to check what's on the dark side. But, I mean, we got the Moon Pearl from Spectacle Rock, so it wasn't all bad.
You know, we do have Master Sword, and we have the Cape. We're kind of running out of spots that we can get to.
Yeah. We do not have Aghanim access, from what I understand.
Yeah, we need 2 more keys for that, but it's getting kind of close to that point of... that might be where we gotta go. It's either that or we gotta find a glove somewhere.
Yeah, that's gotta be the next progression. Or at least the blocker for Dark World access. I don't know where these runners haven't checked yet, though.
No one's paid off the big fish yet, so the big fish could have something for us.
Okay, it might actually be a bit of a rupee farm seed then. And what's worse is that we don't have the glove to make it easy. However, we could potentially do Houlihan strats. The problem is that the easiest Houlihan strat is not available to us anymore.
I believe Shady Forest did that already, so he's already gotten his Houlihan stuff. The other three have not.
Yeah, so we might actually have to farm rupees here soon.
But yeah, we're running out of locations that we can check at this point, so Zora's got to be the answer.
Yeah, we've even seen Agina's cave, I believe, on Chexhuman side.
We do have flippers, so we can check the hobo and the waterfall cave.
But people have actually been there, right? They just haven't paid off the fish.
I think who has the can of brine? I think it was Chexhuman that checked it, but he didn't have the flippers at that point.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing waterfall cave. Either way, we'll see it momentarily.
Yeah, you definitely need the Moon Pearl to get inside of this waterfall cave, and it's nothing, just a bottle. So I think Invictus, that's where Invictus got his first bottle. And as we know, the sick kid doesn't lead to anything but some chump change. So yeah, what do we have? We can't even get to the back side of escape.
It's got to be gloves on the big fish today.
Or maybe book that gets us into Desert Palace.
That's a good call too, because we do have most of the desert set already, other than the fire source.
Now the question is, which of our runners is the first to realize that?
The other question is, where's the best place to go rupee farming this early in the game without mitts? Probably
Well,
the
if we had
Thieves'
the
House, I would
glove... yeah, the Thieves' Hut. Without the glove, it's pretty much just Blind's Hut. And that's something like 30 rupees every time you exit and re-enter the house. And you even have to go downstairs and into the bomb wall. Like, it's like the most... I wouldn't wish it on these runners. I would rather just have forgotten a location that contains their progression.
Zaen is making the dip over to Agina, and then I think that's going to be his last spot before he has to rupee farm.
Yeah, Zane's routing has been pretty efficient so far. Him and Chexhuman were at the mountain around the same time, but I think he had a bit more checked. And I think Chexhuman might be checking... Oh, he's in Eastern Palace.
Slim Kirby bring up a good point that we could check our first chest in Castle Tower.
That is true. I mean, I'd probably do that before farming rupees.
Zaen could be heading that way right now, because he is heading to that direction.
So in terms of, like, progression items, we've gotten quite a few things. It's just nothing to actually get us anywhere we want to go.
And the early Tower of Hera play not paying off at all.
Yeah. We do have a... Was it a small key for Tower of Hera?
I don't think we found. I know we found the compass for Hera. I don't think we found.
Oh, was the compass? I don't know. Anyway, Zaen is going to be the first runner to head into the castle tower. Hopefully for his sake and the other runners, this is where we need to go. And it's the bow. But
doesn't progress us though.
It doesn't. The bow will get him some money though, if he wants to do that. And what's even worse is that he needs to run the long way to get to Eastern Palace. We don't even have the glove to take the shortcut. The seed is
still might be doing the still might be a little bit quicker than doing the wraparound for Blind Hut though.
Yeah, I forget how much money is inside that. It's something like 90 rupees, maybe. So it's about 3 trips. Honestly, I think it might just be faster to do that. Maybe Zaen is thinking the bow progresses him. Or maybe he hasn't actually visited this dungeon yet. Oh yeah,
that chest is still closed, so he has not looked in here at all.
Okay, so as a happy side effect of checking Castle Tower, Zaen has the bow for Eastern Palace, which does him no good. But he will be able to get some money and make the farm a little bit more bearable. Of our runners, Shady Force has the most money available to him right now.
Shady Force did the Houlihan room, so that kind of gave him the extra 145.
And I believe the runners on the left side did not do the Houlihan at all.
Always rough when you have to farm money, especially in Randomizer.
Yeah, it's pretty uncommon in these modes. I remember back before like the standard mode tournament in early 2017, they had like a exhibition match between, I think it was Andy and Christos, before like a lot of people knew about A Link to the Past randomizer racing. And that exhibition match had a forced rupee hunt. and I remember Christos saying something like he was able to do a strat that he doesn't think would ever be important ever again in doing the Houlihan room.
To answer your question in chat, the Bowwoods in Castle Tower first chest.
But yeah, it is funny to see how often players do Houlihan strats these days.
It's the kind of thing they want to do as early as possible if you're going to do it. A lot of people will go out of the sanctuary and just go to the right when they come out and just do that quick bomb hole.
Yeah, Shady Force seems a bit confused as to what to do, which is never a good sign.
It's kind of like what you were saying of not having the situation in Seeds of where you have to get money.
Yeah. It's definitely uncommon.
He's only $25 off though, so he's not that far.
Yeah, 1 trip into Blind's Hut would get him the money he needs. It looks like Zaen... Actually, I think Zaen has the money. Does he?
No, he has 306. He is going farming though.
Yep. I think this is it for Zaen. Like, I don't think he has anything else to do.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is his last spot. That's really, as you said, the last thing. It looks like Shady Force twinged on it also, and he's also going to blind set for that quick 30.
Yeah, this is one of those times where if I were in this race, I would be like racking my brain as to what I could have possibly forgotten. even if I were deciding to farm rupees for Zora. I would just be dreading seeing anything but progression coming off of Zora. And add on to that the fact that this is a tournament race. This is an important race if any of these runners want to stay in the tournament past the Swiss stage. Yeah, it's possibly a lot of pressure on them.
Slim Kirby, I know one was hearts, I know one was arrows. I don't know what the third one was.
Goodness, if the third rupee pull was a red rupee, that could be so useful.
Invictus going to Spike Cave, but no mitts.
Yeah, that's... I think Invictus is a bit confused as well.
We're going to have our answer from Shady Force momentarily what the big fish is going to sell to us. As you said, it's got to be either the book or the mitts.
Well, gloves, yeah. Could also be... I guess the boots doesn't progress us. No medallions. Lamp does. Lamp would actually not progress us.
This seat is already something else, and that's the mitts. Gloves, anyway.
Yep, so the gloves actually gets us access to the Dark World, but it also unlocks 3 more chests in the backside of Escape. And honestly, I would hope these runners might do that first. Just because it's a quick check, and you never really can chain it with anything else. It's just a save and quit. Check those 3 chests, save and quit.
So all 4 of them had to go to blind side to get that quick 30.
Yep. Zaen is still farming, unfortunately, and Invictus and Chexhuman are pretty early in their farms as well.
I should say not so quick 30.
Yeah.
See what the backhand of Escape has for us today.
Got a Castle Tower key, a map, and a full heart. So
well, I guess just one more chest in Castle Tower now, but we need a light source for that.
What's interesting is, I guess Shady Force didn't check the Castle Tower? Maybe... Oh, Shady Force... Not sure if Shady Force actually got the second sword yet. In the Dark Sewer chest. But he does have the cape to actually get into Aga Tower.
I don't think they did that, because I don't think they want to go to the Dark Room.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we're going to be seeing our first Dark World, probably going into Skullwoods. If not that, we're going to be checking Village of Outcasts and maybe the front side of Thieves Town. But no, we're going directly into Skullwoods.
Zaen about to grab his power gloves as well, and see if he has some choice bombs for the fish.
And it looks like Chexhuman is down to 1 more trip into Blindside, along with Invictus.
Yeah, Invictus is going to be right on his heels almost. And Mr. Myers a pendant for us, so that's 2 of our pendants out of the way already.
Get the Sank Heart here in Skullwoods. Let's see what else we have. Just some bombs. Gonna have to go through the Party Gibda room because we don't have any small keys. So
Zane's
often
gonna check out the formerly known as Hype Cave.
It might actually be hype in this seat, honestly. So what do we got? Got Ether, which could be useful. A big key to Turtle Rock, which is probably useful. Compass. A big key to Thieves Town, which is probably useful again, and a map of Ice Palace, so that'll tell us whether or not it's a pendant or a crystal.
So I'd say that's a solid B for a Hype Cave today. Not a bad cave at all.
Yeah, it's the dungeon cave, except for Ether Palace, or yeah, Ether Palace, Ether Medallion.
Ether could get us into Turtle Rock or into Mire.
Yeah. Well, though hopefully we don't actually have to enter Mire because it is a pendant.
This is true.
Oh, yeah, as some Kirby's is saying, we do know Ice Palace is green because we talked to Sasharala.
Invictus and Chexhuman grabbing their gloves.
Yeah. So it's interesting. It's always interesting seeing races converge at these focal points when before that it's just absolute chaos. Everybody's going in different directions.
Zaen gonna check the haunted ledge here to see what this one holds for us.
I think this is definitely something you want to get out of the way, even if it is just a heart container. And he doesn't want it. Interesting.
Interesting choice not to pick that up. With that little heart, I probably would have.
Shady Force checked what was on the bumper cave, but did not go over to the graveyard ledge. I also missed what was on bumper cave.
Well, he has the cape, so it couldn't have been anything of note.
That's true.
First pod keys, we're going to be looking for 6 of those.
So Shady Force checking the 3 items here inside of Village of Outcasts. We running out of money, unfortunately. We don't have the money to pay the 30 rupee chess game fee. Hopefully Shady Force doesn't forget about it.
Stabs the game player for this trouble.
You know what I was thinking? I just had a thought. Did we see what the stun prize was?
I don't think so. So yeah, that could have been a way to get money.
Yeah, I assume one of the runners, you know, checked it, and we just didn't notice it. Oh, stun prizes, bombs.
Dr. Marty, there were 2 big keys in the Ether Medallion in Hype Cave.
So we're seeing now the front side of Thieves Town. Got
5
powder,
so that's a nice pickup.
Yeah, it's especially nice. It's nice for safety and also unlocks one location. Get a small key for Turtle Rock, which I mean, that's good.
Gonna be looking for 4 of those in total. 3 are necessary to beat it.
Yeah. The big key chest in Turtle Rock, as well as Trinex, are both locked behind 4 keys in the logic. So, to beat the dungeon, logically speaking, you do need 4 keys, but if you want to risk skipping out on that vanilla big key chest, you know, you can be our guest.
What I've been seeing a lot of people do lately is using that exit room, saving their game, checking that chest. If it's needed, they'll just save the file. If it's not needed, they'll just reload and save that key.
It's a good idea. I believe this might be our first dig game on Chexhuman side. Zaen is pretty much doing the same thing Shady Force is doing. And Shady Force is going to be making their way down to Hype Cave via all the locations between Dark Kakariko and there.
We did find our big key to Hera as well, so Hera is actually fully open to us now.
Interesting. We do not have a fire source yet, though. And you need a fire source to get the chest that's downstairs in the Hera basement. In other modes, like Standard and Open, you typically don't want to ever have to go down there, but there's no way of knowing whether or not it's required without actually checking it. So everybody, you don't really want to go to Hera and then have to come back with a fire source in hand.
Yeah, late fire sources are really bad just because of how much they can kind of block you out of.
So our runners are once again just sort of retracing each other's steps. Invictus is going into Skullwood. Zaen is going to be making his way to Village of Outcasts. Actually, Invictus might check Graveyard Ledge, but it doesn't look like he's going in that direction. I think Graveyard Ledge might troll these runners if they don't check it. Could very easily see something like Mitz there. And Desert and Swamp Palace are our important crystals for today. It's probably something we saw earlier. It's just the first time I've noticed it.
So the question is now, what is our next progression and where is it going to be?
I'm gonna say the Graveyard Ledge. I'm gonna be mean. These guys skipped it. I think they should have checked it.
It's one of those spots, they might come back once they get their mitts so they can check the King's Tomb as well. But yeah, it's something that you kind of want to check as soon as you can.
Yeah, so we have a key here on the pyramid. It's the small key to Skull Woods, which is next to useless. We'll probably be seeing what Catfish has, so I'm pretty hyped. Unfortunately, we do not have a hook shot to get over to the graveyard area, and I believe Shady Force has checked everything else. Maybe, has Shady Force actually gone into Skull?
I don't believe so. I don't think he's gone up that way yet.
Okay. So
not just a compass on Bumper Ledge, so absolutely nothing we need.
Yeah. And Keysanity maps and compasses have an additional effect. Maps will tell you whether or not it's a pendant or a crystal. Compasses, on the other hand, will tell you how many items are in a dungeon and how many you've actually already picked up in that dungeon. If you know this game reasonably well, the compass is not very useful to you. Whereas the map, knowing which dungeons you actually need to complete is pretty essential.
It looks like you're going to get your Graveyard Ledge check here.
All right. Invictus. We're going to see Catfish, too.
Zaen grabbing their big key to Hera, so if he chooses to, he can go up there now.
Yeah, Catfish has our progression in the form of a piece of heart.
So one fish paid off, one did not.
Yeah. Can't win them all. Uh-oh, we have a small key here in the Graveyard Ledge. It is a small key to Palace of Darkness, which actually could be very important. But I don't know if that's actual progression.
Depending on how they are with their routing, we need, I think, at least 4 to clear pod.
Yeah. So the thing is, 2 of our runners have the bow. 2 of them don't. And the bow is extra important here in Keysanity because if you don't have the bow when entering Palace of Darkness, you're forced to take that central key door. And if you do have the bow, you can avoid consuming a key on that door. It is entirely possible through the use of avoiding that door and the use of the hammer yump to get through Palace of Darkness and completely full clear it with only 4 of the 6 small keys. So if any of these runners decide to open the front door, they would need 5 at a minimum for a full clear. So we're also seeing the inside, the back half of Thieves Town as well. half the chests are right up front, and they're really quick to check. The other half, back here, it's harder to get everything. One thing is that you do need a small key to access one of the chests, and it doesn't look like any of our runners have it.
Yeah, it's that big chest that is small key blocked, so they might come back here later. It's that kind of chest that people leave off to the very end of the game. It's the one that will usually come back to bite people later.
In something like normal, standard, or open mode, that sometimes happens, but it's usually related to not having the hammer, because it's also blocked by hammer pegs. And in Keysanity, it's the key as well, so it's extra trolly. Do you get a small key in the chess game for Turtle Rock? I assume somebody else probably picked that up, but we do remember. I forget who it was. I think it might have been Chexhuman that had trouble, or had money trouble with the chess game.
It was Shady Force.
Okay.
So Zaen takes down Blind, gets a rupee for his trouble.
And a pendant. So we know all of the pendants, actually. The 3 pendants are Ice Palace for the green, Misery Mire, and then Thieves Town for the other 2. So everything else has to be a crystal. And we do know Desert and Swamp Palace are the red crystals, the important ones. The ones that unlock the Pyramid Fairy chests.
That makes our pedestal options rather interesting.
Yeah. So we do have a small key for Swamp Palace. We do not have the hook shot, though. So we could actually go into Swamp, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's anything holding us from going into Swamp Palace. So maybe our progression is there.
We can do the first part of it. We can do up to the big chest room. We can't get to that back part, but yeah, everything before that we can get to. We do have the flippers too, which is, of course, is one of the main things.
And the mirror.
Shady Force also dealing on Blind. Blind's one of those interesting fights because it's a little bit of a scripted fight. You have to hit each phase 3 times.
Yeah. It's kind of a cliche to say this, but a lot of players that play the game casually think Blind is one of the most random bosses, the hardest to predict, but in reality it's probably the most consistent if you're using like NMG speed strats. And for the purposes of Randomizer, the sword damage on Blind, every sword does the same damage. He just takes 3 hits from any damage source to end each phase. And that includes either cane, the hammer, and any of the swords. I don't think anything else hurts Blind. So I'm wondering if Zaen is going to make his way to Palace of Darkness, especially considering you just found a Palace of Darkness small key there.
He does have that bow, so he can get to that, avoid that front door, so he can look around there quite a bit more than Shady or Invictus could.
Yeah, and there's another benefit, or not a benefit, a quirk of Keysanity. I mean, there are 6 keys to Palace of Darkness. The chances of there being a key for Palace of Darkness inside of Palace of Darkness are actually pretty good. But honestly, if I were these racers, or rather, if I were like a composite racer that had all of the knowledge that we have right now, I would probably go into Swamp. Or maybe do Hera first and then go into Swamp like Zaen. Zaen is going into Hera.
The issue with going to Hera, as you said, is you kind of want to do it in one trip, so we don't have that fire source. You have to go to the basement. It is worth coming up here, though, while you can.
two of our runners are actually in the same room. It's interesting. So the top two races are facing each other, and then the bottom two races are also facing each other. But at many points throughout this race so far, Zaen and Shadyforce have been at around the same spot, and Invictus and Chexhuman have been around the same spot. So I find that kind of funny.
Invictus heading towards Blind, gonna finish off her. Then he might head up towards Hera as well after dealing with Blind here.
Mm-hmm. So two of our runners are gonna be checking the Hera big chest here, getting just a piece of heart, or not a piece of heart, a full heart. But it was interesting that Zaen spent some time setting up a bomb jump, whereas Shadyforce just went upstairs. And I think Zaen might have actually lost a bit of time not getting the bomb jump the first go at it. But thankfully Zaen didn't actually fall in the hole, which is the biggest time waste. Seeing our first Moldorm 2, or sorry, Moldorm 1. Moldorm 2 is probably an hour away at this point.
Moldorm 1 taking its first victim.
That's why we call him Trolldorm around these parts. Zaen taking him out without much trouble. Getting a piece of heart, so nothing in Hera outside of, that big chest, which we can't access yet. So I'm thinking Swamp or Palace of Darkness.
I would probably jump to Swamp before Palace of Darkness, personally.
Yeah, neither is a very good option. Palace of Darkness, I don't know how many chests are available to you with the amount of keys if you're trying to, ration them. I think in Swamp there's 5 in the front side if we don't have the big key.
So Invictus just farmed money again in Blind's hut, so I'm assuming they're gonna make that Palace of Darkness call now. Because you do need that 100 rupees to get past Kiki, the swindler.
So we're seeing Spike Cave for real this time. I don't know if Zaen has done it on his side.
Zaen just finished. It was just a heart piece.
Okay. Yeah, it was just a heart piece for Shadyforce as well. Imagine that. But it looks like Zaen is actually... Zaen is... I don't know what Zaen is doing. I think Zaen might be checking the pyramid, catfish, and then maybe Palace of Darkness. Because this... If he's going directly to Palace of Darkness, this isn't really the fastest route available. So yeah, we're checking pyramid.
It makes sense to check pyramid and catfish while you can. He might swing over and check graveyard ledge as well.
But the thing is, Shadyforce here in the bottom has already done that, I'm pretty sure. So Shadyforce is actually going to be heading directly into Swamp. Well, as directly as you can head into Swamp. And Slim is pointing out we also have the last Castle Tower chest, because we did find a small key for that.
Still need a light source, though.
But Zaen is opting not to do that, even though he does have the mirror. And there is no reason to do Aghanim in this seed.
That last chest won't be unlocked until we get a light source to see through that maze, though.
Ah, that's true. But it's something you could do, and Zaen has already shown that he's not scared to do dark rooms.
Oh, for sure.
The dark room to get to the second chest in Castle Tower, it's not bad. It's kind of annoying, but it's not as bad as if you wanted to do the entire dungeon through the dark, because upstairs there's rooms with pits in the dark. Well, there's a room with pits in the dark. I would have probably gone into Castle Tower if I were Zaen. But we are going to be seeing our first items here. Swamp Palace. And that's the lamp, actually. So having the lamp, that actually makes that whole discussion moot, because we do have access to Castle Tower.
Now let's just finish off Desert now as well.
That is true, and it also opens up that last chest in Hera. Interestingly enough, Zaen is opting to do Houlihan Room, which he didn't do before? Huh.
Interesting you do Houlihan now when you farmed money earlier.
Well, I think it might have just been... I don't think it's actually possible to do Houlihan if you have no boots, no glove, and the flippers. And that might be why he did it. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. If you have nothing at the start, you can do Houlihan. But if you get the flippers and have nothing else, you can't do it. Pretty sure. So, the question of left side swamp in this particular Keysanity seed is moot, because we can't actually get to Argus, even if we wanted to. So Shady Force is going to be unlocking the left side of swamp here, going to be not floating the key because we already have it. And we'll be seeing what those two chests are. Hopefully, it's something on the left side of swamp here, and it's not just the lamp that progresses us, because...
Yeah, this is a left side that's actually more annoying than normal because of the fact that you can't just hookshot across. Now you have to jump down and walk back around.
Yeah, you have to do that room twice, which is funny because that's basically NMG if you really wanted to grab all the chests. Although, you know, one of them is...
It does look like we did find Titan's Mitts in the swamp, though.
Okay. Yeah, must have missed that. So Mitts will open up... Mitts will open up the Mire area. Mitts will open up Dark East Death Mountain. And the Mitts will open up a few locations in Dark Kakariko and Kakariko. Namely, Peg Cave, the Dwarf Blacksmith, and the Purple Chest.
Small cuted pod.
So that's number 3 we have so far?
I believe so.
Alright, Shady's going to be seeing what else is in the vanilla big key chest inside of Swamp Palace.
Just a map, so not much there.
And it's a map of Ganon's Tower. I mean, we do know what all the crystal and pendants are. I don't know if every runner knows that. But the Ganon's Tower map is especially useless because you have to do it anyway. And Zaen finding the hook shot here in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, so it looks like Palace of Darkness definitely was the answer.
Yeah, it's going to give Zaen a bit of an advantage. If Invictus decides to do Swamp before Palace of Darkness, he'll have to double dip it, but... You know, Zaen should be able to do a single dip into Swamp Palace, unless, you know, the big chest has something crucial. Shady Force, a bit confused as to what to do, and Zaen finds the Ice Rod here in the right side of Palace of Darkness, the bow block side. So Palace of Darkness has all the value today.
Still need that fire rod somewhere. Possibly Bombos to get into Turtle Rock.
So Zaen has 2 more keys. He'll probably spend 1 key here getting in... No, never mind. Making a liar out of me. Unless he already did that chest. No, he didn't. So the vanilla big key chest requires a small key in the front side. And then in addition to that... Oh, I think he's going back for it, actually. Anyway, so that chest consumes a key. There's a key that leads to the back half of the dungeon, and then the bouncy spike room and the dark maze both consume a key. But the dark maze, if you can do the hammer yump, you can avoid that.
So that was our book in Checkerboard Cave. Interesting pickup.
Yeah, it's especially interesting because we can get into desert another way now. The book does unlock 2 more locations in the form of the Ether and Bombos tablets, and it also lets us check what's on the pedestal if we really wanted to do that. So we're getting our first...
we also just found our small key in Thieves Town, so we get to that big chest now if we choose to.
Was that in Palace of Darkness?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So Invictus is probably going to be showing us what's in the second chest here in Castle Tower. I believe that was our fire rod on the torch in Desert Palace, unless I'm mistaken.
If that's the case, we gotta find boots somewhere.
Yeah, so it is a boots required seed, which is actually fairly uncommon for Keysanity.
So what are those? It's where are those?
So we're going to be seeing, potentially, what's in this darkroom chest here. And nothing else good in Desert. We're going to have to come back later for that fire rod. But Shady Force can actually finish the dungeon now. However, Shady Force doesn't have a good weapon outside of the hammer. Definitely missed what was in the castle tower. Second chest. But I don't think it was important. So Zaen and Chexhuman are now in Swamp Palace, and they're going to have the benefit of being able to actually complete the dungeon. Chexhuman has the Tempered Sword from somewhere.
So he does. I did not catch where those other 2 swords were. I'm not gonna try to butcher your name, but Bo was in the first check in Castle Tower. Curious where Chexhuman got 2 more sword upgrades I did not catch. And Shady Force is dealing with the Mola now. Slim Kirby, that's possible.
So JD Force is being forced to use hammer strats on land molas. Not really the most fun battle.
There's our Titan's Mitts in Swamp, picked up by Chexhuman. Shady finishing off Desert. Didn't get much from Mola. Gonna head over to the Kakariko part now. See if he goes back into Thieves and they'll use that key.
Is that really something you want to do?
It's that kind of thing that's in the back of your mind that this might be necessary.
Yeah. So Shady Force, I believe, has already gone through Skull Woods. Shady Force also knows where the fire rod is, so there's no reason to go back into Skull Woods.
Boots on pedestal would be kind of fun.
Yeah. Not sure. Did we check what was required for Misery Mire? I think only Shady Force has been to that area. I think the fact that Shady Force didn't go into Misery Mire... oh wait, Shady Force doesn't have the ability to enter it. We need either the boots or the hook shot, and we know the hook shot is inside Palace of Darkness. Get a high five here between Zaen and Chexhuman in the left side of Swamp. So they're both making good time. Invictus is heading through Palace of Darkness. Gonna be seeing what's in the back half here. Wondering if we have a Hammer Yump in store.
This might be give us our answer of where exactly these extra swords were coming from. Because right now he does have tempered. We'll see if he does have bomb jump and get something better.
Interesting. Thankfully, these runners won't be needing swords anytime soon, although some of them still need to visit the Dark Sewer to get the second sword, second sword. Our first sword was in the Mini Moldorm Cave. So Shady Force is going to be checking to see some of these Kakariko locations. Checking Peg Cave first, dropping the dwarf off, and then probably taking the purple chest and then fluting over to that area. We might also see it combined with checking the Bombos tablet, even though Shady Force does not have a sword, to actually get what's in there. It's nice intel to have. And there's our boots inside the Peg Cave. So that's going to get Shady Force the fire rod whenever they decide to head back into Desert Palace.
Definitely a huge pickup for Shady Force there.
It's also a great utility item to have. It speeds you up, obviously, because you're running around instead of walking around. It unlocks a few locations on the map outside of that East Desert Palace lamp location. It unlocks the Bonk Rocks and the Kingsgrave, east and west of Sanctuary.
Invictus trying to do the hammer jump here. Having a little bit of problems with it. This is one of the more tougher skills to do.
Yeah. I personally have yet to learn it. But I don't run a lot of Keysanity. So Shady Force originally was looking like they were gonna walk the chest all the way to the thief from the Dark World, but opted to not do that in the end. Fortunately, my stream cut out. I did not see what was actually inside the purple chest. It's interesting that two of our runners are on Fighter Sword. I think Invictus is about to get Master Sword. One of our runners is untempered, and Zaen has had the Master Sword since like 10 minutes in, or 15 minutes in.
Okay, so yes, Invictus did just get a Master Sword, so Master Sword was in Palace of Darkness Dark Room, so that's definitely our third sword. And we think our second sword was in the sewer escape.
So interestingly enough, Shady went to the mire area, but probably just to grab the fire rod in Desert Palace, which Shady Force did. So Shady Force is actually going to be heading into the backside of Skull Woods. There are 2 items left here in Skull Woods outside of what's in the big chest, which I don't think we have the big key for.
I believe that was Bombos to get into Mire.
Okay. Yeah, if it was Bombos, then it explains why you wouldn't go inside. But Shady's going to be finishing off Mothula soon, which kind of sucks because we only have Fighter Sword. I mean, we do have Hammer for Hammer strats, but you always want at least a Master Sword for Mothula. We do have half magic, though, so we could just spam the fire as much as we want, pretty much.
Slim Curry bring up a good point that that half magic could have been the purple chest since we haven't seen him get it anywhere else.
That is true.
He does have green goo, so that will fill up his magic. And that's our big key to get in his tower. That's a huge pickup for Shady.
That's a relief for any runner in Keysanity. You never want to be scouring Hyrule for that key like 2 hours into a seed.
I would imagine that Shady will give us a quick pedestal checkwise here. So he does have the mirror in the book.
Yeah, and Shady also checking that chest before doing Mothula in the meta of like standard and open mode. Typically speaking, you'll go to Mothula first, and then do that chest later if Mothula doesn't have like the last item in Skullwoods, assuming items are still left. But in Keysanity, there's pretty much no way of knowing. So if you have the mirror, it's probably best to just do that room and do that chest.
Yeah, the joys of Keysanity is you can't really item count anymore. Very nice moth by Shady, though, even with Fighter Sword.
So Chex is going to be finishing off Tower of Hera. We know that there's not much there. Invictus taking a death. I don't know if that was a death warp.
It looked intentional because he was just playing around with the spike, it looked like. But could be refilling his HP a little bit.
Yeah. So Shady is actually going to be checking our pedestal here.
I don't think there's a ton more it could be, but it'll be interesting to see what he does find here. And just couch cash, so...
Yeah, I think Shady was getting a little bit ahead of himself. So where do we go now? Shady still needs to visit Castle Tower to get that bow. The only runner at this point to not actually have it. And unfortunately, it's really easy to forget about the Castle Tower, especially if you're an hour and 13 minutes into a seed and you haven't visited that area yet. Looks like Shady is going to be heading into Ice Palace. We do have a small key for Ice Palace, which makes getting through the dungeon and full clearing it a lot faster. So that's nice.
And for those just come in, even though we do have 4 racers on this screen, it is 2 separate races that we're watching. We're watching Invictus versus Zaen on the top side. We're watching Chexhuman versus Shady Force on the bottom. So while it is 4 people playing the same seed, it is 2 distinctly separate races going on.
Mm-hmm. So unless I'm mistaken, this is our first foray into Ice Palace.
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Shady Force is missing a lot of the items that would make Ice Palace a lot easier to clear, especially killing all these penguins and stuff. Bombs kill them in 1 hit, which was nice, but everybody else has a hook shot, which could do a lot do that a lot faster. In addition,
especially with Fighter Sword. Fighter Sword is very painful here.
Yeah. So Shady Force is like the gift that keeps on giving in terms of new information. The problem is that in terms of items, like they're missing a lot of key things. Also seeing, I think, our first hookshot cave here on Chexhuman's side. Not 100%.
Yeah, because we just got a hookshot not too long ago, so this is definitely the first check here. Just a compass in the first one.
Just some blue goo. And arrows. Not... What is up with Death Mountain, this seed?
Very disappointing mountain so far.
So Zane's about to get the boots and be quite a bit faster.
Chexhuman making the long walk around Spike Cave. Gonna be a little bit disappointed when he gets to the other side.
Do we know, has Zaen actually visited Desert Palace yet?
I don't believe so. Oh yes, he has, because he's killed Alamola.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's another thing that's available to our runners, and I don't think anybody has checked yet. We have Swamp Palace down and Desert Palace down on Zane's end. And those are the crystals needed to open up the pyramid.
Yeah, that's 2 chests that we can get, so that could definitely be a place to go.
Was that a vanilla big key in Ice Palace? I'm not sure.
I didn't catch it myself.
You can know if it's a vanilla because it actually doesn't give you a little pop-up. So I don't think we saw a pop-up for that big key. By the logic, we do need a big key to actually complete the dungeon, but pretty much anybody, you know, who's 2-1 in this tournament knows how to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, which skips that requirement entirely. But by the logic, you know, you definitely need it. So if you see
confirming that it was a vanilla big key.
And it was half magic inside the purple chest.
So the obnoxious iced tea room just having arrows for us today.
Invictus is about to finish off Argus pretty soon. Don't think there's anything of use there.
I don't think Argus had anything, so I think you're accurate on that.
However, it is one of the red crystals, so it might be useful. I'm wondering when Zaen will actually visit the Pyramid Fairy. Looks like we might be checking Kingsgrave first.
And Chexy grabbing their key to Palace of Darkness, the big key.
Got another small key. I did not catch what dungeon it was for in the big chest in Ice Palace.
Zaen grabbing the red mail from the dead king.
It's always nice to have.
It's certainly a nice safety item. With the skill of this game, though, it's once you have blue mail and that many hearts, it's kind of on the trivial side, but it's nice to have. So Ice Palace big chest had the big key to Swamp.
Yeah. And the big key to Misery Mire is in Bonk Rocks, which I don't believe Shady Force has actually checked yet. Shady Force is actually running out of mana, too. Does have a green potion, so unless we get bodied by one of these cold stair puffs, I think he's got it in the bag.
Coltster is definitely a boss you don't want to take a death to.
Yeah, it's such a pain to get back. We get another small key to Turtle Rock. I think that brings us up to 3 or 4 keys for it. So that's, that's in play, depending on what's actually needed to enter. It's quite cute. We actually have it. So where does Shady Force go, other than into Palace of Darkness? I mean, we do know Castle Tower is incredibly important for Shady Force. The problem is they might have forgotten all about it.
He could clear out Pod and Eastern now. Well, I need the Eastern big key, so we can't clear out Eastern. Never mind.
Yeah, looks like Shady might actually be going back into Thieves Town, maybe?
So
No,
Pyramid just having our second Castle Tower key.
Interesting. Shady is going to be checking... Okay, Shady's going to be checking Bonk Rock's going to be checking Kingsgrave, and probably the Graveyard Ledge. Unless they already did that. Chex having the bow and silver arrows is going to have a nice landmo fight. So that's always nice. And every one of our runners now has the book. Whether or not that's important, I can't say. I know Ether Tablet wasn't necessary. At least I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so far none of the tablets have had too much.
I meant the other one, Bombos. I don't think we've seen Ether Tablet.
Gotcha.
Or maybe we have.
Zaen does get the fire rod, though.
Yeah, so Zaen has everything he needs to, I think, clear out Turtle Rock. Maybe a small key or two is still out there in the world. But I think Turtle Rock could be a pretty good destination. Oh, right, we need the Cane of Samaria. Always forget about that.
That's one of those items that you never think about until you're like, oh, shoot, I need that.
The number of times I've done commentary and have forgotten about the Cane of Samaria is like at least half of them. So I guess Shady Force now might be checking East Death Mountain, might be checking the Hera basement, might be checking Ether Tablet, which other runners might have done already. I can't say for sure.
Well, Shady has two things that's working against him. First, he has to get back to Castle Tower to get his bow, and then he has to get into Palace of Darkness to get his hook shot. Those two items are kind of what's holding him back right now.
Yeah, Chex has been a lot more thorough. So I feel like Chex might actually have the advantage depending on when Shady Force actually decides to get the bow. Because if we don't get the bow, it's going to be forced, multiple dips into Palace of Darkness, or even just add another dip on top of whatever else you would have to do. But we are seeing Hera basement.
I don't think there's much down here. I want to say someone checked this already. There wasn't anything here. So Bombos was on Ether. Or maybe not. I don't see anyone lit up with that, so... Unless Shady saw that and couldn't pick it up because he doesn't have the Master Sword yet.
Yeah. Still on Fighter's Sword. Chex, I think, got a bit confused. Went back and did the Hammer Yump again, I'm pretty sure. He's already been through the Dark Maze. Yes, it's a big key to Eastern Palace, which is actually really useful, and by useful I mean required.
I'll send Shady back over there, so he'll be able to finish off Pod, grab his hook shot hopefully, and then jump down into Eastern as well.
Yeah, but first he needs to get to Castle Tower. Chex, on the other hand, is going to be clearing out the rest of Palace of Darkness. I don't think there's anything else in here. Chex has another small key. Chex can just go down to Helmosaur. We got a key, we got the hammer, we got the bow. Even have silvers to make it easy.
Shady opening up Turtle Rock. Not much we can do inside that quite yet.
So Shady's now clearing out East Death Mountain. We know that that doesn't really have anything good. Chex is going to be heading to Helmosaur. We do have the big key in hand. And we'll be seeing... we'll be seeing another crystal soon. Invictus, on the other hand, is going to the Bombos tablet. So two of our runners are actually in Palace of Darkness right now, which is kind of weird for a seed like this. Shady still needs to head out over to the castle, otherwise we're going to end up losing a lot of time there. Zaen is probably going to be doing the same thing that Chexhuman did in just checking the big chest again and going directly to Helmosaur. And Shady Force is finally making the play, going into Hyrule Castle. We're gonna finally get a Master Sword in the Dark Sewer. Hopefully Shady goes upstairs and checks the castle tower, because that is the #1 thing to progress in the seed. I don't think the Master Sword actually opens anything up for Shady Force, so at least this won't send Shady Force off in a different direction. And yeah, we're going up to Castle Tower, so everybody's going to have their bow soon enough. Invictus is about to check the inside of the pyramid. There was a key in there. I forget which one it was. Oh, the second key to the castle tower, which is not very useful for us, unfortunately. Shady gets the bow, so in terms of major items, they're catching up quite a bit. This is going to send them directly to Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace. Chex now is going to be checking and finishing the rest of Eastern as well. So I think that's the first runner who's actually going to be clearing out Eastern. Oh, interesting. The second chest in Aga Tower is the Cane of Samaria? Wait a second. Haven't other racers been there? Or has Invictus had it? Let's see. We're also grabbing a Misery Mire key here on the Lake Hylia Island, which is pretty much useless. I think Shady might be the only person to have the Cane of Samaria. It was a dark room. It's not the easiest dark room to get through, but it, you know, if you practice it a bit, it's not that hard. But yeah, that's a huge find for Shady Force. And honestly, like, it's a good item to be missing because we can't even get into Turtle Rock without it. So all of our runners will probably be, you know, heading back up to Castle Tower before long. The only problem is like all the big keys and stuff we've been finding, like the small key to get the big chest in Thieves Town. I don't think anybody has went back down there. Like things like that are still lingering. And the fact that Shady Force has it and will be pretty much in item go mode soon with the hook shot and the ice rod on the right side here of Palace of Darkness. Like I think we'll be good.
Invictus grabbing the Bombos tablet.
Yeah. So we also That's interesting. The Bombos medallion on Ether tablet. The Bombos medallion was required for Misery Mire, was it not?
Yes, it was.
So maybe Invictus might be heading into Misery Mire. So let's do a bit of an item roundup in terms of what we still need. In terms of items, we have seen everything that could be potentially required. So it's really just down to keys. We have the big key for Ganon's Tower, so we can just go right upstairs when we get there. But to get the crystals, let's see. We can clear Eastern, we can clear Desert, Hera, Palace of Darkness,
Turtle
Swamp.
Rock? No, we have Turtle Rock.
Swamp, Skull, and Turtle Rock. If we have 3 Turtle Rock keys, we are in go mode, or at least in no mode. Fortunately, we haven't been doing the best job of tracking where the Turtle Rock small keys were. But Shady is about to be finishing the 5th and 6th crystals. Next time we see the menu open, I need to make sure how many Turtle Rock small keys we have.
It looks like he has 2 by the tracker, but I think he has 1 more. I think he has 3, I want to say.
Yeah, Shady might actually be in go mode.
And Chex is now going up Magnum Tower to grab, yeah, that we need here.
So Zaen is... I don't know if it's the first trip to Dark Death Mountain, or if it's returning. Maybe he's just checking the medallion requirement for Turtle Rock. But he does not have the Cane of Samaria to actually do anything in Turtle Rock. So we might actually see a Master Sword Ganon on Shady Force's side.
Chex does get his cane.
So Chex still needs to check Peg Cave to get Boots, and then Boots will lead him to the Fire Rod. The tracker, I think, needs to be updated with the flippers for Chexhuman. But other than that, I think he's in item go mode. So whenever he gets to Peg Cave, and he's in the right area, he might be in item go mode as well. He's also cleared out Palace of Darkness. He has... I think he's also done Eastern. Don't quote me on that.
He is passing Peg Cave, unfortunately.
Well, he's gonna check. He's gonna grab the dwarf here first.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
And then go into Peg Cave. So unfortunately for Invictus, even though he was in the area, he did not complete the Dark Room to get the Cane of Samaria, so he won't be able to actually enter Turtle Rock.
That's such an out-of-the-way spot. It could be a bit before he makes the dip back in there.
Yeah. You never want to have to take 2 trips to Castle Tower. That's why I think it's definitely worth learning those Dark Rooms.
So Shady is now digging out Eastern to be able to finish this off. He does have the big key in hand, so he'll be able to check that big chest for us as well.
Yep, Chex now has the boots. I believe has knowledge for where the fire rod is, unless they somehow missed that.
He has killed Lamola, so he has definitely been there.
Yeah. And other than that, I mean, it's just Turtle Rock. So the racers in the bottom are actually fairly close to each other. Maybe Shady
has a bit of a lead, maybe 5 minutes or so, but yeah, it's gonna be very close.
Yeah. Zaen is kind of running low on locations to check. Unfortunately, Zaen did not get the Cane of Samaria either. And Invictus really needs to... Oh, this is actually a big problem for Invictus. Although Zaen also has the ability to go into Mire, so maybe we'll be seeing that first, or seeing that on both sides. Looks like Zaen might be... Oh, Zaen is just going to be clearing out Eastern Palace, which is not a bad idea. And
he has all the items he needs. He can do Ganon with Master Sword Sowers.
Invictus is doing the same thing. In fact, they had a high five outside. Zaen was doing spin speed strats to get up the stairs quicker. Invictus was just doing normal, walking up the stairs, maybe doing stair pumping. But Zaen got a little bit of an edge there, just through some simple speed tech.
Against Tower's big key was in Skullwoods, yes. It was in that chest under the bridge.
Oh, so Shady also has to finish Swamp Palace. Although Chex is now going to be grabbing the Fire Rod. Shady still needs to go all the way to Argus. But other than that, I think Chex might be... I can't... this menuing is too fast. Chex might be in go mode. Unless it's only 2 Turtle Rock small keys.
Chex has to do Hera still as well.
That is true. It is a really quick dungeon, and it's right there, right next to Ganon's Tower. So if he's able to do it last, it's not that bad. Unfortunately, our runners on the top, I mean, it's fortunate for them because neither of them have made this play. But both of them have to return to Castle Tower to get that Cane of Samaria. And they both finished up Eastern Palace within a few seconds of each other. I think Zaen gained a couple seconds on Invictus throughout clearing the rest of that dungeon. But other than that, they're both pretty close. Zaen does have a few more crystals, however.
Swamp is very nice to do in Go mode. It's much quicker than when you have to dig out items. And Chex only does have 2 keys to Turtle Rock, so he's going to get at least 1 more.
Chex also needs to grab this chest, I believe, to get the big key to get in his tower. Unless it's not there. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it's there.
it's definitely down there.
So hopefully he does not skip that chest.
Yeah, that would not be good.
I'm having a little trouble with these Gibdos. Thankfully does not run out of time on those torch timers.
Does have half magic, so Moth shouldn't take too much trouble for him.
So Invictus still doesn't have boots. Being forced to use Bombos to get into Ice Palace. Ice Palace isn't even... Is Ice Palace required? It might have a Turtle Rock key or something like that. And unfortunately, with just the Master Sword, Shady Force has to do relatively slow strats here for Argus. It's possible to get... I think it's possible to get a 0-cycle Argus with Master Sword, but it's really hard. Zaen accidentally picking up the bomb for trying to do the Ice Palace bomb jump, and Chex will be getting the Gannis Tower big key.
Yeah, thankfully he's not taking that gamble.
Now the big question is that go mode? Shady Force finishing off Argus, getting the second to last crystal.
So let's think Shady and Chex are going to be going towards Turtle Rock at the exact same time.
Looks like Chex is gonna be checking the pyramid first. Might not have enough keys.
Oh, you know what? Shady Force doesn't have enough keys either. He only has 2 also.
Huh.
Now, do you gamble that you get a small key inside Turtle Rock at this point?
I mean... You gotta, right? Like, the lack of small keys so far, I don't know. I guess we also haven't been inside of Misery Mire that much. Or have we?
I guess Shady does have 3, so Shady's all set.
Okay, so Shady is in actual, factual go mode. Chex is, unfortunately, having to look around the world.
Looks
Although
like
it
he's going
looks
to
like
just take
that
that
was
gamble, though.
I believe that was just a Misery Mire key on the island.
Yes, that was just a Mire key.
Chex might be going to Hera basement, or maybe just finishing Hera. Or no, maybe just going into Hera basement first, and then going into Turtle Rock. And the 2 runners on the top, unfortunately for them, are in Ice Palace. We know their real progression lies in Castle Tower. Chex is picking up Bombos. Maybe he wants to go into Misery Mire. And Shady is lucky enough to just be able to make a straight shot to Trinex, unfortunately getting bopped by a jellyfish here.
Yeah, those jellyfish are playing a little bit of a gatekeeper role and not letting him in the door.
What's weird is, like, I think sometimes you can get hit on that platform, on those platforms, and not get knocked off. Not entirely sure what causes it.
So Chex has to really hope that there's a vanilla key here somewhere for him.
Is going to be checking the right side, which is good. Although with 3 keys already found, I mean, it could be somewhere else pretty easily.
For all we know, that fourth one could be in that lava bridge.
That is true. That would be the biggest troll. Because that forces you to consume, you know, that 4th key to get the 4th key. Or I guess like the 3rd key to get the 4th key. So Zane's finishing off Cold Stare. Gets a small key to Turtle Rock, which is, as we know, pretty necessary. I guess that's the key that Chexhuman is missing.
Yeah, that's our 3rd key, because Shady does have Cold Stare down.
So it might have been a Turtle Rock required, or not Turtle Rock, Ice Palace required seed after all, even if it was a pendant and not much else was good in it. So while it may look fairly close between Shady Force and Chexhuman, the fact of the matter is that Shady Force is in go mode, can just go, you know, through the dungeon as they will, whereas Chex will probably have to leave.
Found a small key, but not the one we're looking for.
Was it for Meyer?
Pod.
Zaen turning in the green pendant to no avail. Going to Link's house, which is a good thing, and he's going in the right direction. So Zaen is about to be in go mode once we go upstairs in Castle Tower. Now the question is, does Invictus make a similar move? I'm not entirely sure how much of the world map is left in terms of unchecked locations for Invictus. Shady Force is going to be finishing off Trinex. Unfortunately, only having the Master Sword, so it's going to be a bit of a painful Trinex. Also, not killing the Firehead, so now they're both active.
Takes out the ice head first, so you don't get that ice on the ground.
Chex is actually doing Mimic Cave, which he might be the only person to end up doing that and just getting 300 rupees for his trouble.
Zaen grabbing his cane of Samara, and he is heading up to Turtle Rock to finish off the seed as well.
Invictus is about to finish off Cold Stare. Now the question is, what does Invictus do after this? Really needs to get to that castle tower, but it's so far out of the way. Do you want to do that ever? And at 1 hour and 49 minutes, Shady Force has all the crystals and is now heading over to Ganon's Tower. So this could be very easily a sub 2 hour seed for Shady Force. I think the big determining factor will be whether or not he's practiced his Master Sword Ganon. We do have half magic and a cape, so it shouldn't be too bad. And the silvers.
Yeah, he did get those silvers, so that's going to be a little bit of a help for him on the last forum. So Chex has to hope there's a key here on Laser Bridge.
But even if there is a key here, there is a pretty big difference in time, fortunately. And that is not the case. Chex is gonna have to bomb out. Probably be faster just to save and quit, honestly. So we're seeing some mimics get torn to shreds by silver arrows. Shady Force's side. Where Zaen is making the straight path through Turtle Rock. Invictus looks like he's going back into Swamp Palace, which is, as we know, not where he wants to go. So if there's ever like a poster child seed for the seed where you might want to learn Dark Agate Tower, it's this one. Shady's actually taking the safety room here too. Gonna grab some fairies, and actually we're already at full magic.
Yeah, and Chex is making the dip into Meyer. Might find a key here. We didn't check Meyer all almost in the seed, so there could be something for him in here.
And at this point, it's kind of scary, but I think Invictus might have just forgotten about the castle tower. Like, going back into Swamp Palace is so incredibly slow. Zaen using that last key to get to Trenix. Shady Force is going to be finishing up the gauntlet here in just a few seconds. Having half magic, looks like we're going to be using Fire Rod strats instead of Silver strats on lane mode 2. Chex, on the other hand, is in Mire.
He's got to find that Turtle Rock key. We know Cold Star has one of them. We don't know where that second one is.
Yeah, it's especially unfortunate because you never want to go to Cold Stare if you don't have to.
Especially when he's a pendant.
Zaen taken down Trinex pretty easily. The difference in tempered, or between tempered and Master Sword for Trinex cannot be overstated. Well, Invictus is also going into Mire. Now, Invictus is actually losing or missing quite a bit in the form of the boots. The boots we know lead to the Fire Rod, but he's also still missing that Cane of Samaria, which is in Castle Tower. And we're already on pretty much the second to last floor of Ganon's Tower here. Shady Force doesn't need anything, although I'm surprised they're not picking up the chests here.
At least the easy ones in. Shady could be just comfortable with his Ganon fights, but he could feel he's behind too.
Maybe.
Having to farm money at the start of the seed is never a good feeling.
In a way, the fact that Shady Force ended up having to basically do Castle Tower as his last available option, that is kind of the saving grace here, because like Shady was the only person who had the Cane of Samaria, or sorry, who had the lamp to do the second floor, or to do the second chest in Agate Tower.
I think Chexhuman is a little on the last side at the moment.
Yeah. We've checked everything in Misery Mire except for what's in the big chest and what's on the boss. Still missing that key. Although, it's a bit confusing. Like, Chex has got to know that, you know, Ice Palace is there. Anyway, Shady is finishing off Agate 2 here.
Aghanim 2 goes down, and we're off to the big pig.
And Zaen is also finishing up the gauntlet here, about to take out Agate 2, notably using the silver arrows. Missed one of the silver arrows, but thankfully was not forced to do a second cycle.
So it looks like Chex might get that hint that he has to go to ice at this point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're already at Ganon on Shady's side. Now, since Shady is using the invisible sprite, it is hard to know whether or not we're actually using the cape.
His magic's dropping, so yeah, he is.
Hopefully we have some magic potions in the mix. I know Shady did pick up a fairy on the way up. And in the top race, Zaen is about to be confronting Agate 2 after Trolldorm 2. And Invictus is unfortunately going everywhere except for where he needs to go. This was definitely a seed that rewarded Overworld versus dungeon crawling. I mean, we did need to go into the Pendant Ice. I don't think we ever needed to go into Misery Mire, however.
Shady getting bot again, but he does have a fairy, thankfully. Yeah, a lot of our dungeons have really had nothing in them.
I mean, Palace of Darkness was stacked, but that's to be expected. And Shady getting bopped by some fire bats. This is a little worrisome. Little does Shady know, a quick mirror trip could get him the sword upgrade he so desperately needs. And that's that. That's our first Ganon fall, whereas Zaen is finishing up Agate 2. And Zaen has Tempered Sword, so I don't think we're going to be seeing any problems with Ganon. Yep. Shadow's pointing out Invictus is doing the sewer chest. Hopefully we'll be seeing Castle Tower as well.
Grabs his Tempered Sword, and he is climbing the tower now, so he will be grabbing his Samaria very shortly.
Zaen is going into Ganon right now. So I don't think it's
too
gonna
late.
save him. To address the comment in chat, the goalie man, it's less that gambles have a bigger payout or punishment, it's more that in this mode, you typically tend to have to clear a lot more of the world. So making gambles on locations is less advised than in something like open or standard mode. In this mode, it's pretty much just assumed, like, if you can get to a location, just go to that location. Because the chances are you're going to need to go there. So Zaen is now in the last phase of Ganon. We do have silvers. He does fail the torch glitch, but I don't think that's really that big of a deal. I think it's just one more hit on Ganon, and that's it.
Yep.
Zaen brings him down.
Zaen takes down the big pig.
Yeah, actually passing up Shady Force. I mean, it's a different race, but it's still notable to see the difference between Tempered Sword and Master Sword Cannon, even if you have the silvers in the cape. But that is GG. Unfortunately, I got kicked from the IRC, so I can't get the official time. But Zaen, on Zane's screen, it is a 2 hour and 9 minutes time, so just over 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours 9 seconds.
Oh,
Shady
Racebot.
has to be very careful.
Racebot apparently died. So while this race might not be counted for SRL,
Shady unfortunately taking another death. If Shady continues to have trouble, this could give Chex a little bit of time to catch up here.
yeah. And Chex is about to get the item so desperately needed. Got kicked out of the race chat, so I might have to ask on Discord if Zaen wants to join us.
So Chex takes down Cold Stare, gets his key that he needs for Turtle Rock. Shady did stock up on potions. Not sure where Shady is going though.
Not sure. Chex is making up some time here with all this time spent on the overworld.
I reached out to Zaen to see if he wants to chat with us. Give us a moment.
Okay. And taking these unfortunate cannon falls is something that is probably going to do nothing good for your psyche going into Ganon, especially when you're still on Master Sword. So hopefully it's able to pull through.
And we do have Zaen in chat with us. GG Zaen, congratulations on your victory. You might need push attack on. Shady is still going after Ganon at the moment. We will have Zaen with us momentarily once we finish some Discord issues, but stay tuned for that. And Ribble, we did have a small key to Turtle Rock inside the lava chest in Turtle Rock.
Oh my goodness. That is painful. So that does mean, without a doubt, Ice Palace and Cold Stare was required.
Alright, now we do have Zaen with us. GG Zaen, well played.
Thank you. That was a really good seed.
Talk us through that very beginning of that seed. That was interesting with the money farming.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any choice because I don't think I could have accessed the hidden room somehow, since I had the flipper already. So I had to farm some money for Zora, and of course he had the mids.
Yeah, it was a situation where all 4 of you guys had to repeat farm on Blind's Hut. That's how strict the very first part of the seed was.
Yeah. But I have to say, Ganon's tower was really, Agan's tower was really stacked this time. It had the bow and the cane in it. That was really surprising.
Yeah, that was a spot that held a couple of you guys up with those late items, with the bow and with the cane there.
Yeah, I went for Ice Palace, but there was nothing in it, unfortunately. So I was kind of hoping for the tower, and otherwise I would have gone to Misermire. But I guess I was kind of lucky to find it in there.
Yeah, Misery Mire did not provide value for anybody. So it was actually interesting, like talking about the Castle Tower. Pretty much every runner went to the Castle Tower early on, except for one of the runners, not your opponent, but Shady Force in the other race. And they delayed going to Castle Tower for so long that they were able to just go upstairs with the lamp and get the Cane of Samaria there. So it was interesting to see when every player decided to make their return back to Castle Tower. One of the players actually decided to try to do the Dark Maze, I'm pretty sure, but I guess gave up. They might not have practiced it.
Yeah, I didn't really want to do too many sequence break this time, since it really got me last time. It was a really bad call that I did, I think, the Dark Maze last time, and then I went to Hemosaurus through a dark room with the turtle and so on. It was a really bad call for me, I guess, and I lost because of that. So I didn't want to repeat that this time.
So Shady Force does take out the big pig, so Shady Force has won the second race on the bottom part of the screen. Not sure what the official time was, but his timer says 2:07:28. So get some GGs in chat for Shady Force, please. So Zaen, any thoughts on the items in this seed? It didn't seem too item heavy, other than the ones that, as we already spoke about, that kind of trolled you.
We got barely any rupees, which was really surprising. Especially at the beginning, since we needed the rupees for Zora. Otherwise, the boots were kind of late, I guess. And yeah, the cane was really hidden, I get, for me at least. But overall, it wasn't a terrible seed, I guess. It was just annoying to route.
Yeah, this seed had a lot of going back and forth. And it was actually kind of linear, which I know a lot of runners have trouble with. Or maybe not trouble, but they just don't prefer it. Like Swamp Palace and Palace of Darkness each had very, very good progression. Outside of that, like Ice Palace was needed, but it wasn't like it was only like relevant at the very end of the seed. And then most of the other dungeons, I don't know, Boots blocked the Fire Rod, which pretty much everybody ran back and got the Fire Rod almost immediately after getting the Boots.
Yeah, that was kind of shocking to see the Fire Rod up there.
Yeah. I was actually making a comment early on in the race that boot blocks are less common in Keysanity because of the fact, the keys are out in the world, so the chances of you not being able to complete Desert Palace without the boots is a lot smaller. And then that happened.
Yeah, also Vanilla Ice Key, Ice Spec Key, I guess. Which was also kind of surprising after I found it. The chances for that are pretty slow, pretty slim, I think.
Cool. So any other thoughts on that seed? Shady Force did finish. We'll probably see if they want to join for a quick interview.
No, not really. It was, as I said, pretty linear. I mean, nothing really too surprising, I guess. And yeah, it could have been faster if I didn't win twice, but otherwise, it went pretty well for me.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, at least this seed, you didn't really have to worry about Ganon's Tower, big key. Just go straight upstairs.
Definitely, that's always pretty nice.
So we do have Chexhuman making his climb on Ganon's Tower. Shouldn't be too much longer before Chex finishes here. I did reach out to Shady to see if you want to chat with us, but I haven't got an answer quite yet.
Yeah, might be taking a break. These seeds can really take it out of you, especially if you're in like what you feel is a difficult race.
Check's taking care of Moldarm 2.
It's the Skullwoods big key. That's funny.
So Zaen, the Dark Sewer chest had Tempered Sword. If you watch it back.
Oh, I thought he got that.
I got it pretty early. It was the
He was the
master sword
first.
for me.
Pretty much
Okay.
everybody else skipped out on that for a while.
Yeah, I went there pretty early after I did the castle. I couldn't really tell what I found at first, but then I realized it was a master sword.
Okay,
least for me.
did you get the one in the Palace of Darkness maze then? The Dark Maze in Palace of Darkness?
Yes, that was my third one.
Alright, so which sword were you missing then? Did you not go to Mini Moldarm Cave?
That was my first one. That's all the way I got.
I think we've only found 3 swords across.
Yeah, because he had Master Sword Ganon.
No, that was Shady
I had
Force.
tempered sword.
Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong screen. I'm sorry.
So we have Shady Force here. Good game to you. That must have been pretty scary near the end.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I was so worried. I messed that Ganon fight up so badly.
So just as a general question, why did you not check the chest leading up to Ganon, like upstairs?
Well, I kind of actually backed myself against Ganon with the Master Sword because recent attempts have gone fairly well. Plus, I had half magic and a cape, and I thought I could do it, but I just got really nervous and I messed it up.
Yeah, it's definitely very different in a race setting versus just practicing. So I can understand that.
So where were the other swords then? Was there one up on the gauntlet?
So interestingly enough, if you had mirrored outside of the pyramid, you could have gotten one pretty quickly. There's one in the Dark Sewer chest, which I don't know if is that one you got?
No, I opened the Dark Sewer chest. Oh no, that was my Master Sword.
Okay, so there was one in the Dark Maze in Palace of Darkness.
Okay, yeah, I never went near there. Yeah, that would have been well out of my way. And do we know where the fourth one is?
No fourth sword. It's probably in Ganon's Tower.
Okay, I guess the way I routed it, I was always going to be doing my Master Sword, so I'm glad I skipped everything on the way up.
So a big thing about this race was the Cane of Zamaria, and you were actually missing the bow for quite a while. Zaen and I believe Chexhuman, your opponent, they both decided to check Agate Tower before committing to grinding out rupees at the beginning. And they both got the bow pretty early, so their routing was impacted. Like they were able to go into Palace of Darkness, skip that first key door, and do all that.
Yeah, and that probably worked to their disadvantage because they cleared a lot of pod they didn't really need to, and I don't know if any of them dipped Mire as well. That would have been a waste of time, I think.
Well, that and the fact that they didn't return to Castle Tower for quite some time to actually get the Cane of Samaria.
Oh, I see. They got the first chest, and then it took them longer to come back for the second.
Yeah, so you had a pretty big advantage there. Chex was Chex took a little while to find the cane, but Chex also, the biggest roadblock was the last small key for Turtle Rock. Chex did not go into finish Cold Stare, which had it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually thought I had all 4 Turtle Rock keys. It's marked on my tracker, but when I got in there, I think I only had 3, and I had to steal a key from the pokey. But I must have messed up. I could have easily made a mistake there because my tracker was marked wrong.
Yeah. So funny story. Apparently, the vanilla big key chest in Turtle Rock had the last small key.
Classic. Yeah, that's funny when that happens.
So let's see. I mean, I liked your routing from the start. It felt really efficient. Outside of the castle tower thing, even though, I mean, it worked into your favor at the end. Do you feel like that's one of your strong points, like routing through these large, complex, interconnected seeds?
Well, no, I definitely don't think so. I think because a lot of seeds I've just routed very badly. And even in this seed, I think while I liked the decisions I made, I actually thought it wasn't working very well at all because I ended up having to check lots of random locations, and I think Swamp was the last place I went to finally get the mitts, and I didn't think it was actually working that well. So I was really curious whether other people were going to fall into the same trap or not.
Now, we also do have Chexhuman in chat with us, so GG, Chex, well played.
GG, thank you.
GG Chex.
So, Chex, the issue for you was that Turtle Rock key on Colds there. Otherwise, you had a really, really smooth run.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was fun. Being able to save and quit without picking up the pendant was kind of cool.
The 4th key for Turtle Rock was inside Turtle Rock in the vanilla big chest.
Figures. So, of course, we had to kill Cold Stare.
Yeah, Cold Stare was required. And I believe that was like the only thing in Ice Palace that was required.
Yeah. Besides the bug net.
Bugnet's interesting, of course. So, I know we spoke to Zaen about the beginning of the seed. So I'm going to ask you and Shady, what you thought about the money issue at the start of the seed there.
I wish I hadn't picked up flippers so I could try the Houlihan room. But yeah, I figured that was the only answer. And I didn't feel like I was behind because I felt like that was the only answer. I tried all 3 tiers of the tree, I think, and there was no money. Well, there were 20 rupees. I don't know if it's faster to collect money from the tree, though.
You didn't Houlihan at all, Chex?
Pardon me?
So you did not Houlihan at all?
No, I couldn't, as far as I could tell.
Oh, because you get the flippers too early. Yeah, that because I did Houlihan fairly early before I got the flippers. So that saved me, 5 minutes of grinding rupees right there.
Aha.
Yeah, all 4 of you guys had to do a little bit of grinding in Blindside to get the rupees.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So going forward, Zaen and Shady, you are now both 3-1, so you guys have 1 more week to get to that 4-1 mark to get to that playoff race. Chex, unfortunately, you're not going to get to the playoff race, but you still get 1 more match next week. From all 3 of you, any thoughts on going to next week?
I'll just keep playing.
Yeah, same.
I think with 3 wins, I've already overachieved more than I was expecting. So I'm really happy with how it's gone. So I'll be relaxed and happy. I think going into the last round, I'm not expecting too much.
Do you expect? Will you be playing in the play-in race if you do go 4-1?
Oh, if I go 4-1, I definitely intend to play in it. Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm gonna win it with the kind of group of people that's gonna be in it. But I'll definitely play in it. It'll be great fun. It'll be so hype.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting who comes out of that alive. But that'll be next week, I think. Maybe next weekend.
I believe it's the Saturday after next. I think they take a week off and then do the play-in race.
Ah, okay.
I could be wrong on that. I'd have to check the official scheduling, but I know that they finish up the 5th round on Saturday. Then I think there's a little bit of time off in the next round. So I'm going to take a quick look at the schedule and let you guys all know what's coming up for the remainder of the night. At 6 p.m. we have X Ice Blue versus Epic Ranger on this channel, so that's going to be coming up as soon as we go off the air here. Following that, at 6:30 we'll have Lava and Firestorm versus Nifboy on A Link to the Past Randomizer 2. At 7 p.m. we have FazeBro versus Corrido 8 on A Link to the Past Randomizer 3. At 8 p.m. we have a quad race on Speed Gaming between Korik versus Sigma Sin and Dark Shadows 59 versus Solski. At 9 p.m. we have another quad race between Gonsport and Raspberry Floof and Lair God, Zera, and Bright Wolf, so I'll be on this channel here. At 9 p.m. we will also have Space Cowboy 2011 versus Tim Lobo on A Link to the Past Randomizer 4. And at 10 p.m. we'll have F. Coughlin versus Aaron Dobe on one of the Speed Gaming channels, which one is not for certain quite yet. Then we have, of course, a full docket for the rest of the week, so a lot more of Randomizer to watch here. And Invictus is heading towards Star Rock. Not going to take him too much longer here. So any of the runners I have in chat still, any more thoughts on this seed as a whole? It wasn't exactly the most challenging seeds as much as it was an annoyance type of seed.
That sums it up for me. Another annoying seed.
I believe Invictus has defeated his other two crystals. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I think this is it for Invictus. And it's just back. It's just up into Ganon's tower. Invictus unfortunately had the problem of missing out on the boots for a while, as well as the Canis Amaria. Thankfully, we do have Tempered Sword, so it's going to make Trinex and Ganon a lot easier.
He is missing one more crystal. I didn't catch which one it was though.
Might be Hera? But maybe not. Hopefully, this is a calculated thing. He doesn't have to go back to the mountain for no good reason.
If it's Hera, it's pretty convenient.
I want to say it's Skull Woods. I could be wrong though.
I thought I saw him finish Skull Woods. Do take a potion here, which could be important. Might need a potion for Ganon.
He does have plenty of money, so he can just buy some if he chooses to.
Yeah, but you'd have to leave. I guess you could do that once you get to Ganon, if you're having trouble.
Where did he find all his money? Because I still had no money at the end of the game for potions.
There was a 300 in pod at the first chest. I think there was one more 300, I want to say, at somewhere in the grave section.
So I guess Invictus does know that he's still missing a crystal. Probably be heading to finish off Helmasaur? Oh, maybe Skullwoods? I'm a bit confused. That's where he's going.
Yeah, I'm not sure which boss it was that he was missing. Oh, he needs the big key from Desert Ledge for Pod. So he's trying to hunt it down at the moment.
That could pose a problem, especially if he thinks he had already checked that area.
Yeah, it's going to take him a bit of time to get back over there, since that's a pretty far out of the way spot. So while Invictus looks for his key, I do want to give a couple quick shoutouts. We had behind the scenes for us today. We had Slim Kirby and Xrock doing some fantastic job on the tracking. We had Who42 Baker for the restream. So thank you guys all. Please, of course, follow these runners, and please, of course, follow my co-commentary partner for doing a fantastic job today, Rubel. Thank you very much for commentating with me, my friend.
Thank you. And also toss Dark Falls a follow as well. Dark Falls 1983. Unfortunately, Invictus looks like he's going to be heading to Vitreous.
Yeah, going to the wrong part of the world, unfortunately. It could be good if he mirrors out after this, but given the fact that he has cleared desert, it could be a bit. Desert Ledge being one of those spots that is a little tough to come back to if you don't hit the first time.
There are so many locations in this game, it is really easy to just forget one of them and then assume you already did it. And then that's like, you're not even thinking about that. It's completely out of your mind at that point. And if you're lucky, that's in like a practice seed or just a random SRL race. But to have it happen in a tournament race is never a good thing. It can happen. It happens to everybody, honestly.
Yeah, it definitely happens to the best of us for sure.
All right, so Invictus takes down Vitreous. Unfortunately, that's not the direction we need to take.
I don't know if he's checked pedestal. He might think he has to go with the pedestal.
Yeah, we might get a blind pull. Which is too bad, because with a single mirror and checking that desert ledge, we could be in go mode. But yeah,
He
I
is
think
mirroring,
Invictus,
so
it's just
let's
gonna
see where it
flute.
goes.
So yeah, I think it's just a case of we forgot where the item is, or we forgot that we didn't check this item.
Gonna head back in the pod to see if he missed anything in pod.
Might also be turning in the green pendant. Not sure if Invictus has done that. I guess he has. Don't even have the compass for Palace of Darkness, sadly, so I don't know what items could potentially still be in here. But it does look like there are still items in here. Thieves Town Small Key, which is not something we want to see, because that's going to send you off on a wild goose chase. In fact, Invictus might be heading that way right now. So it does look like Invictus is heading back into Thieves Town.
Yeah, he has that big chest he can check. Not much else, but he's gonna take a look at that anyway.
Getting back to the Thieves Town big chests is less painful than you might think.
A little time consuming, but not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's usually like the last place you want to look. And I think at this point, Invictus might think it's the only option left. Finding the map of Turtle Rock. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think he's kind of out of spots that you can check him at this point. Yeah, he's looking at his map like, what did I not check? He does have all three pendants, so he might pull the pedestal unless he checked it. But yeah, he's looking at what can I do now?
Unfortunately, we're now in check locations you already are pretty sure you've checked mode. I've personally been in this mode with the hook shot sitting in the bomb wall inside of Kakariko Well.
Ooh, that's a painful one.
Yeah, I somehow managed to get through most of the seed without it.
I
Only,
saw
like-
one a while back where someone left the bow on race cam in the first 3 minutes of the race. That was a couple months ago, though. On one of the daily races.
Invictus might be checking Catfish and maybe Zora. Or not Zora. I think Invictus is lost.
He's going for a swim.
Unfortunately, we got kicked out of the IRC room, so we can't even tell if they're saying anything. Actually, I think everybody got kicked out of the IRC room.
Yeah, I think Invictus is the kind of spot where he doesn't really know what to do next now.
So we get a save and quit. We're back at Link's house. A flute. A flute call could take us directly to where we need to go. The problem is knowing we need to go there.
He's checking highly on ledge.
Checking Zora, or not Zora, the uncle. The okay guy. The tear chest had the shovel, and the shovel led to a vanilla flute in Tear's case. For Tear, I believe that was because he miscounted the items in Escape. It was still the standard mode tournament, so everybody had to go through Escape regardless. And he thought he had already gotten, or sorry, he didn't remember that he had already gotten the map earlier in the thing, so he decided to skip that chest. Uh-oh, Invictus is flying back to desert. Oh no, no, go up, up! Oh no.
Oh, so close. He's checking at Gina.
Yeah, the problem is that that's not where he needs to go.
If he had run up then over, he would have seen it. So close.
So does Invictus run back? Nope, looks like we're fluting somewhere else. Nope, we're fluting back.
There we go.
Wait. Nope, we're going into the Dark World. But the question is do we go back on the ledge? Checking Meyer's shed. Nothing good in here, I'm pretty sure. Like, even when there were chests that were not opened.
Yeah, Meyer Shed didn't have much. Checkerboard Cave had the book.
Yeah, he probably remembers that the book was in Checkerboard. So close, we're right there. You could mirror.
He's on the mirror.
Might be checking Checkerboard first. Might. Okay, this is an interesting spot to be in. Mirroring on top of that ledge. So there's nothing outside of landmos in the second half of desert. Unfortunately, we're flying away again. Checking the bottle vendor, probably going back into Kakariko. No. Looks like we're gonna check the pedestal.
Got some apples on the tree.
Showing off something some players might not even know about. You can get apples, pick them up. They restore heart.
So incoming pedestal pull.
Get a blind pedestal pull. I think he already knows there's nothing on here. And it's the Big 20, the Master Big 20.
And all the fog clears from the forest.
Yeah, that's a nice touch, always. Looks like we're gonna maybe go back to the dig spot. Or maybe the library. I don't think there was anything in the library.
I think it was our compass, if anything.
Just a piece of heart.
Yep, he's gonna pick it up.
Well, we're at 19 hearts. I mean, might as well, right? Might get the 20 heart dream. So anyone who's joining us, we are looking for the big key of desert. The problem is it's a place that Invictus has overlooked and seems to think that he's already checked. Or sorry, the Palace of Darkness big key. If I didn't say that.
Yeah, Palace of Darkness key in the desert.
Yeah. On the ledge. And unfortunately, we're going up to Aghanim. This is now the third dip into Aga Tower. Hopefully, Invictus doesn't see it all the way through till the end, because that doesn't open anything. Although, maybe Invictus never checked Lumberjack.
Oh yeah, he'll get his B bottle. We didn't get a ton of bottles in this seed. Well, I guess Zaen got 3 of them. Then the 4th one's on Lumberjack Ledge, so yeah. See how far up the tower he's gonna go. It looks like he's going all the way to Aghanim though.
Yeah, there's no reason not to do it right now. You might think that Lumberjack is your only saving grace. This is where a lot of paranoia, I think, comes from. Like, if you have a seed like this where you miss one location, you're gonna think maybe you'll miss locations like that in the future, even if you're just playing a really trolly seed that takes you to the last possible location to get progression. Just like this one.
Alright, well I guess we can play this game, Chad. How many big blue balls are we gonna see from Aghanim today?
Let's say 5.
I'm gonna hope for a kind Aghanim and just say 2. There's a race at 6:30 after this. And there's one. Couple more hits and Agnum will go down.
All right. How many was that? Just one?
4.
Oh, okay. I wasn't counting. So I guess Invictus might be heading over to Lumberjack. Probably fast is just a save and quit, but he's gonna take us on the tour of a screen we don't really see that often in Rando.
Yeah, that's the scenic route.
Not a useful screen. Not even useful in the Dark World, where there's the Fire Shield shop, unless it's entrance Rando. Then you can, and you got it. So we're gonna be grabbing our bottle,
Release the bees.
our B-Torp. Fortunately, not. I mean, you could potentially maybe like send the bee through the keyhole, and like maybe it could open it on the other side. Like
It would be nice, but I don't think the bee's that smart.
what if it's a super bee? You don't know. Has
Yeah,
anybody
try
tried
to
it?
do that legendary platinum bee?
Platinum bee.
Invictus is looking at his map to kind of think of what else can I possibly do.
Yeah.
Against our big key was in Skull Woods on the chest underneath the bridge. He does have that. He's missing the big key to pod. Best time was just over 2 hours.
Yep. Zaen had slightly over 2 hours. I think Shady Force was maybe like 205 or something. Not entirely sure. Or 207, I think. Yeah. Chex was, I believe, 214. So in Keysanity terms, it wasn't a particularly slow seed. If you can get like almost a sub 2 hours in Keysanity, you're probably pretty happy.
Yeah, it was just that one troll of it being stuck down in the Agnum's tower. Okay, it does look like Invictus has tossed in the towel. So let's get some GGs in the chat for Invictus, please.
Yep, GG to Invictus. We'll see if maybe he wants to come in for just a quick thing, maybe just a vent.
Might want to just pop in and get an answer of where it was.
Yeah. Well, that's a place that Invictus will not be forgetting for quite some time.
Oh man, I feel so bad.
Hey, Invictus, how you doing, my friend?
I've been better. It's okay.
Do you want to know where it is?
I know exactly where it is. I just got spoiled. It's fine.
Okay.
It's right here. Look at that.
Some time.
Bam!
You ran right past it pretty much.
It's really funny because earlier in the game I saw it and I was like, I should pay attention to that. Nope. It's okay. These things happen sometimes. Zaen played a really good match though. That was a tough one to run, I feel like.
Yeah, especially that early match with how tight money was.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever run into the Kakariko farm hut more than I did this game. Like, I probably should have just done Houlihan Room, but I haven't been practiced enough on it, so I figured I wouldn't waste my time attempting it and just go ahead and farm. But yeah, did everyone actually wait a really long time to get gloves? I'm unsure.
Yeah.
You all got them at pretty much the exact same spot, and you all had to farm rupees.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm curious. I know there was probably a lot of linearity, if that's a word, towards the start there. But I'm just curious, where did everyone sort of start to break off?
Once you guys got into the dark world, you guys all kind of went to 4 different directions.
Okay.
Yeah. You had a bit of trouble finding the boots.
Oh yeah.
And also the cane. Everybody except for Shady Force on the other race had trouble finding the cane. And Shady pretty much only found the cane because he needed the bow. Like everybody went upstairs and got the bow pretty early. But
it's really funny because I tried to do the dark room up there, and normally it's not a big problem, but I just kept getting bumped around by the guards up there. And I actually left because I said, you know what, this is just not worth it, and the chances of being something important are slim. And that was wrong. So I wish if things to take back, I probably would have gone in and tried it again, just reset the room and give it another shot. But
yeah, so I noticed that you were trying to do it, and I thought you had succeeded. So
I thought I did too.
We were very surprised to find Shady finding the cane inside that room.
Yeah, I thought I had grabbed the chest, and it turns out when I wasn't in the right verticality, I must have gotten bumped around something fierce because I think I was actually in the bottom of the room, not in the side where the chest was. So, like I said, I just didn't have didn't feel like it was worth the time to mirror out, head all the way back up the tower, and check it again just for one chest. Like the chances of it having been something good was slim to none, and it turned out that it was the slim. So.
Okay, so you're now 3 and 2, I believe.
2 and 2.
2 and 2. Sorry. Are you still planning on finishing out the tournament?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is for fun anyway.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a good mindset to have, especially in Keysanity.
I mean, I entered this tournament not expecting to win even one, honestly. I mean, I've played my fair share of Keysanities, and there's a huge competition field with a lot of great players. So the fact that I'm even 2 and 2 makes me feel incredible. So I feel a little bit bad about this one just because I feel like if I had actually followed through on some of the stuff I should have, I would have at least put up a respectable time. But as it is, it's these things happen. I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. So I believe we need to basically cut away soon. There is another race coming up on this channel, another quad, and that will be Ice Blue, Epic Ranger, 11 Firestorm, and Nif Boy. So yeah, so I guess GG's, except for that one problem. And,
yeah, it's all good.
Hopefully you have better luck in the final race.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys, for the restream. Thanks for the trackers. Everybody else is doing the commentary. Thanks very much, and have a good night, guys.
Have a good night, my friend. Well played again.
Cool.
All right, Rubo. So with that, I think we are going to close it down. Just another quick round of shoutouts. Thank you to X-Shock and Slim Shady for the tracking. Thank you to Who42 Baker for the restream. Thank you to Rubo for calling with me. Rubo, any final words?
No, just thank you for being my co-commentator. Thanks for the runners, and if you liked what you saw, please toss them a follow, and that's it.
All right, guys. So with that, I was DarkFalls1983. With me today was Rubel. Stay tuned. We're going to be going live with another race in about 15 minutes on this channel. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep. Bye.